We must wake up. We must heal ourselves of the disease of colonization and slavery. When we are awoken, nobody could mess with us. They are using us to take ourselves down as instruments of our own self-destruction. You don't see white people messing with us anymore in Africa. They use us, black people. They use us to take each other down. So when our minds are in the right place, nobody can mess with us. It's when we're still suffering from the disease of self-hate and colonization and slavery that we can be manipulated. And that is the best way and most definitive way of making sure that we are not infiltrated. Can you see any black man trying to infiltrate a Chinese group? Never. Can you see a black man trying to infiltrate a white organization? Never. And yet we're continuously infiltrated. It's because we are suffering from those diseases. So again, realize that you're part of somebody else's agenda, that you're completely manipulated and controlled. Do you want to continue to be manipulated so you can save somebody else's agenda? Do you want to continue to ride somebody else's train, going towards somebody else's destination when your destination is in the opposite direction? Do you want to continue to be stupid and be used to the detriment of not only yourself, but your children and generations to come? The choice is yours. How dumb do you want to continue to be? Or are you going to rise up and say, I'm smarter than that. I can do better than that. And therefore, I know which side my bread is buttered. And I know where the red line is that I cannot cross. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for generations to come. You're doing it so that our lives, our children's lives can be better. So they don't have to go through what we have gone through. So yes, there will be others. And I would be foolish if I were to assume that none of us are going to betray us. But we are not going to stop doing the right thing because there are 2 out of 10 who are going to be bad apples. We are not going to stop doing the right thing because there are 2 out of 10 who are going to disappoint us. We are going to factor it into the equation that there will be a Judas among us. And we're going to deal with them as we identify them. But they will not deter us. We will continue to stay focused because we know where we want to go. We know what our destination is. We're not going to worry about the 500 obstacles on a 1,000-mile journey. We're going to deal with them as we approach them. But yes, there will be some who are going to try and infiltrate us. No question about it. Even as we speak right now, I wouldn't be surprised if there are others who are saying, what's all this about these black people trying to come together? There could be some listening in right now. But I can assure you, if we're going to go down, it's going to be us who are going to be used to take ourselves down. The question is, what kind of an African are you? Is Africa born in you? Are you ready to be part of the generation that's going to turn the corner and say the lives of black people must matter? That this time it's going to be different and that we're going to be demanding to be treated as equals on this earth, and that we are saying no to a world that is racist, full of bigotry and hate. We are denouncing that. We are refusing it. And we are refusing to be treated as second-class citizens. So will you allow yourself to be used to keep us in this lane? Or is each and every one of us going to make a commitment to say this lane is not working for us? We are exiting this lane and moving on to a lane that's going to take us to our desired destination. The choice is yours. It's between you and I, whether we are going to be infiltrated or not.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Dash Lifestyle. Kindly for watching me for the first time, remember to subscribe, like, share, and also comment. So guys, in today's video, I want us to listen to this speech from one of our African leader. She's known as Dr. Arikana. Dr. Arikana, she has come out and called those African and Caribbean puppet leaders. And also, she's sending a warning to those Western countries for destabilizing Africa and some black countries in the Caribbean. And she's calling unity amongst us black people, unity among the black Americans, the Afro-Caribbean and African people. So kindly guys, watch this video till the end, then I'll be back with more comment.
Their success is based on our failure. That has to change. And guess who can make that change? We, the children of Africa, we, the Africans, are the ones who have to say, we know your game now. Enough is enough. We're not playing it anymore. And this is where the diaspora come in. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. So let's be serious here. What Africa needs is capacity, capacity, capacity. And that capacity is in the diaspora. So it behooves us to bring the diaspora together. Let them understand what is really going on in our Africa. Diaspora are not going home. Diaspora are angry about Africa because they are not understanding the root cause of why Africa is where it is today. They think getting rid of a president will take care of the problem. Far from it. That president is just going to be replaced by another one who is going to equally suffer from the same difficult environment to work in. So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation from outsiders. The multinationals who are stealing from Africa every day in broad daylight. I use an example of the DRC. If you ever fly very low over the DRC, you'll see tarmacs in the jungle. You'll see 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. The same multinationals are responsible for arming young people and giving them MK-16s. Because why? Their satellites in the skies are telling them where that village is. There are lots of diamonds. So what do? Arm young people, drag them up, and send them to go chop off a few heads. The rest of the village runs away, so they come behind and do their illegal mining. We black people must understand what is really going on. Because what we are shown instead is, oh, look at those Africans killing each other. There are some serious games that have been played in Africa for far too long. And once we understand that, we can strategize as to how we can begin to bring the difference and bring the change that Africa needs. And that change can only come if the African diaspora are united. And the Wakanda villages, as I call them, it is our organized way of saying, starting with one African diaspora center of excellence, it will be a new city, a developmental hub that we can then take from there. Every sector is developed. Take healthcare. How many doctors do we need in this region to take care of this many people? We pick up education, same thing. We pick up engineering. We pick up electricity. How many megawatts of power do we have in the region? How many do we need? Be it solar, be it wind, be it hydro, be it geothermal, be it nuclear. France has got to get out of Africa, really, honestly. Enough is enough to take $500 billion out of Africa. I mean, it is insanity of the highest order. In countries that are supposedly poor, and making those countries fund French education, French healthcare system, create jobs for French youth while we are struggling in our country. It's no longer sustainable. President Macron needs to wake up and smell the coffee. And the African youth are the ones he's going to have to deal with. The African youth are not taking it anymore. They want what belongs to them. Financial institutions, them too. If I had my way, all the African heads of states should stop paying back any loans that were given by IMF and World Bank. Those loans have been paid gazillion times over.
So guys, I hope you have watched that great speech from one of our African leaders. She has come out and revealed how the Western countries, they are destabilizing our African and black countries, and also how they are treating black people in the continent. And also guys, before I add my comment, I want you also to watch this great speech from one of our African leader. He's a president of Burkina Faso. He's known as Ibrahim Traore, he has come out also and sent a warning message to the Western country. So kindly guys, watch this video till the end, then I will also back with more comment.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello everyone. I would like to welcome all the young people from the 13 regions who are in the room and those who have not been able to access the room. To all the young people from Africa, to accompany the youth, welcome to the land of integral men. I would like to pay a vibrant tribute to our strong security and defense forces who fight day and night for Burkina Faso to be and remain beautiful. I would like us to take a minute to pray for those who are on the ground and also for the rest of the souls of those who have fallen for our country. Thank you. Thank you. Let us give thanks to God for allowing us to be here today to celebrate the International Youth Day in good health. I say this very often because human beings often forget God when they have no problem, when they are in happiness. But when worries come, this is when we remember God. Give thanks every day for the breath of life and for health. Youth from Burkina Faso, youth from Africa, youth, this phase of life where we have enough strength, enough energy, like the paraphrase, the slammer that has just passed. Youth is the time when we have spent enough time. We must take advantage of the time we have been given. Use the energy necessary to reach our goals, to change the world, to change our world, to change the world of others positively. Children want to grow up to be young. Older people want to grow up to be young. Everyone wants to be young. Youth is a blessing. So take advantage of youth to do useful work. This is why when I see in the chosen theme the first two words that come to mind, integration, security. Africa faces many challenges, and we must ask ourselves questions. Is youth an asset or a handicap for the development of nations? The answer is simple and unequivocal, and you know it. Developed countries mostly have an aging population, and currently many countries have launched programs to rejuvenate their populations. Africa has this chance to have a very young population. But why is Africa not developed? We must therefore look at the question of why Africa has a young population and why it is not developed, and why developed countries seek to rejuvenate their populations. We must transform our youth into a real asset and engine of development for our continent. To do this, we need integration. We need security and development. We need to unite. You will hear about the African Union. Yes, it exists, but what is the effect of the African Union? We cannot talk about integration and not talk about the African Union, because it is this organization that should unite us, create real integration. But we regret to see this war that persists on the African continent, that kills millions of young people, and that this organization, which has the head of state provided with an army, cannot organize itself to support certain countries. The Union is not just a word, the Union is a symbol. And we young people should learn from this situation to unite us to make integration a reality. I was unpleasantly surprised when Ethiopia, which is the seat of the African Union, experienced a conflict, and when the Prime Minister announced to close the university in Addis Ababa to face the threat, I did not see the action of the African Union to protect this seat. Western states, for the most part, saw Addis Ababa fall, fold their backpacks, and leave. Ethiopia fought, found an internal solution, and lives more or less in peace today. The children of Congo have been dying for years. Several other conflicts, such as in Sudan, exist on the continent. We would have liked to see the African Union generate the strength and all the strategies necessary to support its states so that they can find peace. We will not even talk about us here in the Sahel. For nearly 10 years, the Sahel has been the scene of international terrorism. But we see no support from these organizations to find a solution to this problem. Worse, a few days ago, a foreign country in Africa openly announced that it had supported and participated in a cowardly, terrorist, and barbaric attack against the forces of our confederation. The African Union did not say a word to condemn this interference. The African Union did not say a word to condemn this interference of a foreign state in Africa in the internal affairs of our states. I would like them to hear this shout and get out of their silence and take action so that the youth can believe in the African Union. We must unite. The only way to unite is to talk to each other, to understand each other, and to be able to establish the basis of this unity. Young people, let me tell you that to unite, there are three words, three big screws that we must ban from our behavior and our lives. I am talking about cowardice, treachery, and incompetence. We must ban these three words from our way of life. I am going to explain why. Cowardice covers many screws. A coward is always afraid. And when we are afraid, we become slaves. We bend. We lick our boots. Our ancestors were not cowardly. And if we are cowardly, our children will ask us questions. Imagine that in Burkina Faso we refuse to fight and we accept to submit, to live in slavery. Tomorrow our children will grow up and they will ask themselves questions. Have our parents been cowardly to leave us in slavery? Whether we are alive or dead, we will feel it. Cowardice is afraid, and the imperialists have understood that they are trying to scare the leaders so that they become cowards. Because when you are a coward, all the other screws can be born. We do everything so that we are afraid. They come to our palaces. They threaten us directly or with veiled threats. Of course, we respond as it is necessary. They try to make us understand. They take examples every time. They tell us, you know, Thomas Sankara tried to do this, but he is dead. President Haitian tried to do this, but he is dead. Gaddafi tried to do this, but he is dead. These are words that we take in a veiled way to scare us. And we often see some young people trying to take our path in a different way. We can hear them say, such and such person ruled like this, he is in his country. Such and such person ruled like this, he is in prison. All this to try to scare us so that we become cowards. But I think they didn't understand one thing. When we say country or death, we win. It's not just a sentence. It's not just a sentence. It all makes sense. We are not afraid and we will never be afraid.
Ils ont fait peur sûrement à beaucoup de chefs d'État africains.
They probably scared a lot of African heads of state. They probably scared a lot of African heads of state. You see, often when we express ourselves or when we have the opportunity to be in certain situations abroad, we often say something to call on African heads of state to wake up and take care of our youth so that we can start our real development. So that we can start our real development. We are often misunderstood. Some have publicly opposed us. Some have publicly opposed us because they feel indexed. But I can assure you, youth, that when we find ourselves in the corridors, these same heads of state tell us that we are on the right track and that this is what needs to be done so that Africa can rise again. So we ask them questions like, why don't you do like us? Why don't you support us? Some tell us that they have the means, and some tell us that they can't. Dear elders, African heads of state, at the end of this podium, I would like to say that African peoples are the most peaceful. That African peoples are the most peaceful. When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the people. When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the people. We are not afraid to come out and tell the people we are sorry. We have been compromised. We have been mistreated, we have been compromised by several things, and we ask for forgiveness, and we come back on the right path and to start working really for the independence of our states and our emancipation. And I think it is possible. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowardly and history will judge us. Our children will ask questions, our grandchildren will ask questions. We are writing history. There is no place for cowardice. If our ancestors had been cowardly, we would not be here. Do you remember? I will give you an example of the people of Bamileke and Bassa. I want to talk about the Cameroonians, the union of the population of Cameroon, which since the 1950s has started a relentless fight against the Poles, but they have been massacred. The French colonial armies, in turn, have dispatched infantry battalions, tanks, helicopters, have annihilated anti-village. The most inhuman tortures have taken place during this period. You can do research on what they call the cart or the Bakasima. Hundreds of thousands of people have been decimated in Africa because they dared to ask their settlers to leave their land. A civil war that lasted several years. That is to say that people dared to face the imperialists with their bare hands so that we could be here. There is no reason why we cannot face the imperialists so that our future generations can live. There are many examples throughout Africa of brave men who refused to be cowardly, who fought, who faced. Well, let us be worthy of these people. We are their descendants, and let us be worthy of them.
Ne soyons pas lâches.
A coward cannot be
Jeunesse
worthy.
africaine. Parce qu'un lâche,
Let us not be cowards, young Africans, because a coward is always a traitor. And it goes hand in hand. They will try to frighten us so that we become cowards. And if we are cowards, we will betray. We must ban the treachery of our habits. Africans have been traitors so that the slave trade succeeds in Africa. It is because Africans have been traitors that colonization has been able to sustain in Africa. Let us question history. We will see. Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba, was betrayed because he dared to hold his head. And these same beautiful televisions came to the Congo for a few bids extended to individuals in the Congo for an interview to please their population. And you were able to follow that. Lumumba bothered us. He is dead. We are happy. It is treachery. Many other heroes have fallen so that we are here today. And it is a technique of imperialism to frighten others by taking action to really create terror. It has not started today. I will give you the example of a warrior who fought, Victor Biakaboda.
Lisez, vous comprendrez. Il est issu d'une famille de chefs, pas de la chefferie.
Read it and you will understand.
Il est un enfant.
He came from a family of chiefs.
Il a fait ses études au Sénégal, je crois.
No chiefdom given by the colonizer. He was a worthy child. He studied in Senegal, I believe. He became a doctor in Guinea. And when the RDA was created, he went to the Ivory Coast region to fight against imperialists, against invaders, against the colonizer. He tried to organize the Ivorian society. Everywhere, people began to speak up. There was a general in his time, Pichu, who massacred the Ivorian population so that this spirit of freedom could never germinate. He continued his fight alongside Fewrc Lix Ufé-Boigny. They fought. But the most violent was Victor Biakaboda. He represented a threat to the imperialists. What did he do? In addition to massacring the people who demonstrated, one night they killed him in an atrocious way next to Bois-Flancy. A few hours later, when the people of Dimbakro heard the murder, they marched, they demonstrated. They were massacred by the colonial army. History was killed. The facts are there. After his death, which scared FOC Lix Ufé-Boigny, they called him and told him, if you continue the fight, you will meet the same fate. He was afraid and he joined imperialism. He was appointed minister in France and later he came to take the reins of the Ivorian Accord. They used him to eliminate many other people who dared to raise their voices. I think Thomas Sankara is a good example. If you are afraid, you will be cowardly and you will be a traitor. Never be afraid. The fight must continue. There are many other examples around the world. And there is this phenomenon that they have also used for a long time and that they continue to use. You see, some individuals, for example, have found themselves in other countries and created a so-called parallel government to the Malian government. You have heard this story. It is a technique that has existed for a long time. I will give you the example of Ahmed Chalabi, Iraq. This math teacher, who was even in the Iraqi government, was recaptured by the imperialists, and he formed this semblance of parallel government in Iraq. in the United States. And he was used to be the sheep of sacrifice, because it was to him that it was said that Saddam Hussein was developing weapons of mass destruction, and he did it. They used him, and this Talibi was used to kill millions of children in Iraq and destroy Iraq. And do you know what was the fate of Chalabi? One evening after an interview, he said that he knew that the CIA was on his back. A few hours later, he was found dead in his bed, dead of a heart attack. If you betray, you will have macabre endings. That's how it is. Imperialism has no friends. Imperialism uses you. And when it finishes using you, it does what it wants with you. Follow my gaze. You understand what I'm talking about. It has always been like this. The third vice that I invite you to leave is incompetence. I'm coming back to the word of the Islamist who walked on my tongue. Incompetence. You understand what I'm talking about. Incompetence is a very dangerous phenomenon that they use to destroy African society. In our administrations, there is a lot of incompetence. Let's recognize it. Incompetence have a lot of space next to imperialism. Because incompetence can take over the development of a country. Incompetence can lead you to doubt yourself. Incompetents love ease. Incompetents love everything for themselves. Incompetents don't like those who are competent. They don't like those who innovate, those who seek. Incompetents are dangerous. When you are enlightened, incompetents don't like you. When you want to innovate, incompetents don't like you. Incompetents only recognize those who are competent, and they will fight him until his last breath. Because he is afraid of those who are competent. Seek knowledge. Seek knowledge and work. Work hard to be competent. Ban incompetence. Because through distractions that we want to make us adopt, we become incompetent. I'll give you an example. Social networks are the places where information is published today. People are informed through the internet. A young man who publishes an article on his farm, or an agricultural project, or a scientific project may not have 1,000 views. But a young man who publishes on futility has millions of views. As the young slammer said, we want to waste your time on futility. Be aware. Let's focus on work and seek knowledge. Let's seek competence. It's good to be distracted, but we must work first before being distracted. Seek knowledge, otherwise you'll waste your time doing nothing.
Cherchez la connaissance, sinon vous perdrez du temps à ne rien faire.
Youth is the time when you must use your time wisely.
Il faut exploiter son temps à bon escient. Les impérialistes le savent.
The imperialists know this.
Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est événement de distraction. Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est.
That's why they multiply all events of distraction.
Pour que vous soyez des incompétents.
They multiply all events that can distract you from work so that you become incompetent. When you fall asleep, you choose the incompetent to lead the important structures. You have no choice but to fold. Let's not be incompetent. Let's seek knowledge.
Les incompétents se cachent souvent derrière des mots.
Incompetents often hide behind words. They use the terms democracy and freedom without realizing what they mean.
Camarades, la démocratie est un état
Democracy is a state of mind as much as youth is a state of mind.
Ces soi-disant démocrates,
Whether you're a Democrat or not,
comment est-ce qu'on peut
how can you impose democracy by killing millions of people?
C'est de la dictature, ça, ce n'est pas de la démocratie. Ça ne
It's a
s'impose pas.
dictatorship, not democracy. You can't impose it.
Ceux-là qui se disent démocrates, mais regardez, nous avons
Those who
vu
call
des scènes
themselves
où on a
Democrats
empêché
have
des
seen
gens de
scenes
rentrer
where
dans des
people were
assemblées.
prevented from joining
On a vu des
assemblies.
scènes où des forces ont débarqué dans des assemblées pour obliger
We've seen
les
scenes
députés
where
à faire des
forces
textes.
landed in
On a
assemblies
vu
to
des
force
scènes
deputies to take texts.
plus terribles que ça.
We've seen more
Des gens
terrible
tuent leurs
scenes where
manifestants.
people kill their
Des gens qui
demonstrators.
s'appellent démocrates
But they
et
call
nous, on
themselves
s'appelle
Democrats,
progressistes.
and we're called Persius.
Si c'est ça la démocratie, je répète,
If
nous
that's
voulons pas de cette
democracy, I
démocratie.
repeat, we don't want this democracy.
Et quand vous voyez souvent les incompétents,
And when you see
ils ne
incompetence,
cherchent pas à savoir quelle est la signification du
they
mot
don't seek to
démocratie
know
en
what the
réalité.
real meaning of the word
Ils s'accrochent
democracy
juste
is.
à la définition qui lui a donné l'impérialisme et il se met
They cling to the
démocratie,
definition given to them by
démocratie,
imperialism
sans connaître
and start
simplement.
talking about
Ça, c'est de
democracy without really knowing the
l'incompétence. Il faut
basics.
chercher à connaître,
That's
avoir la
incompetence.
connaissance, regarder le monde pour redéfinir la démocratie.
You have to know,
telle que nous le voulons
look at the
en
world to redefine democracy as we want it in Africa.
Les incompétents se cachent derrière les libertés.
Incompetence hides behind freedom. Remember, there is no individual freedom. It's a fact.
C'est un fait.
Do you really think everyone is
Pensez
free?
vraiment que chacun est libre.
Freedom is collective. As long as we live in a society with
Tant
rules,
que nous vivons dans
freedom
une
is
société
collective.
avec des règles, la liberté est collective. Parce que si vous ne respectez pas les règles,
Because if you don't respect the rules, you can't live in society.
si vous êtes libre de parler comme
If you're
vous
free
voulez,
to speak as you please, the other is free to answer as he
de vous
pleases.
répondre comme il veut,
That would be disorder.
ça sera du désordre. Si vous êtes libre de
If
rouler
you're
dans la
free to
rue et
walk
de
the
passer
streets
le
and
feu
pass
rouge
traffic
comme vous voulez,
lights as you
l'autre est
please,
libre de passer aussi et de vous cogner.
the other is free to pass by and
Vous
hit you.
comprenez que si
You understand
la
that if
liberté
individual
individuelle prend
freedom
le
takes
dessus,
over,
nous sommes
we are in
dans
a
une société
society of
désordre.
disorder.
Voilà pourquoi il y a des règles dans la société.
That's
Les
why
règles,
there are
tout le monde
rules
doit
in
les
society,
respecter. Et là, on parle de liberté collective.
and everyone has to respect the
Donc,
rules.
certains se donnent le droit de parler de leur liberté individuelle.
That's why we're talking about collective freedom. Some people have the right to speak about their individual freedom, but they don't care about others. I think that's also part of incompetence,
Ils s'arrogent les droits que peut-être les États les ont donnés.
because they don't try to understand. They make up the rights given by the states to serve and do everything for themselves, neglecting the freedom of others.
On pense à la liberté d'autrui.
No, freedom is collective. Before we act, we think about the freedom of others, and we shouldn't transcend the freedom of others. So we need to have a reserve. And once we have a reserve, individual freedom doesn't exist. Freedom is collective, and we need to have this culture of collective freedom.
Cherchons donc la connaissance, lisons.
So let's seek knowledge, let's read, let's interrogate history. Don't read the history they wrote in their favor.
Cherchez la connaissance à travers plusieurs sources et vous comprendrez.
Seek knowledge through several sources, and you will understand in history who fought for Africa, how we must fight to continue this struggle of our ancestors.
Et je ne terminerai pas mes propos sans faire.
And I won't finish my words without making a statement about communication.
Parce que comme je le dis, c'est l'arme fatale de l'impérialisme. Et vous jeunes,
Because as I said, it's the fatal weapon of
pour
imperialism.
savoir distinguer le vrai du faux.
And you young people, you must do everything to distinguish the true from the false. We will continue to dismantle the lies of imperialist media that always try to create problems in Africa.
Par leur bouche, ils peuvent vous rendre un roi demain.
Because these media, through their mouths, can make you a king tomorrow.
Et vous rendre
Through their mouths, they can make you leave your position as king and make you a poor slave tomorrow. Pay attention.
Je suivais une émission, malheureusement, il n'y a pas longtemps, burkinabé, où un jeune
I was
journaliste
following a
a sorti une
program,
phrase.
unfortunately not long ago, in Burkina Faso, where a young journalist released a sentence that left me a little perplexed.
Il meurt de faim en Corée du Nord. A-t-il pris le soin d'aller en Corée du Nord enquêter pour voir vraiment s'il meurt de faim?
He was talking about North Korea, and the journalist said, "But he is starving in North Korea." Has he taken care of going to North Korea to investigate to see if he is really starving? Since imperialist media have sold North Korea is more developed than many European countries. And because these media tell us that North Korea is a dictatorship, people are starving, they are poor, they have nothing, we take it here. But North Korea is a nuclear power. How did they do it? Let's pay attention to communication. We must not blindly follow these lying media that only try to divide Africa. It is logical. They fight for the interests of their people. And the interest of their people is that Africa is divided. So, young people of Burkina Faso, young people of Africa, we must unite. We must ban cowardice. We must ban incompetence. We must ban treachery and all the risks in our society. We have the opportunity to speak. We thank God for these opportunities that we have each time to speak, to raise awareness. And I invite you to spread the word, to get to work so that the Africa that we want, self-sufficient in terms of food, is a reality. So that the Africa that we want for harmonious development is a reality. Let me finish because I return to your theme. There is no peace and security without development. The two go hand in hand. If there is no development, there is no security. Because if there is no development, the youth will inevitably find themselves in the vice and there will be no security. If there is no security, there is no development. So the two must go hand in hand. Let's integrate this in our fights so that we can fight and develop. Let's go towards production. Let's produce enough. Let's transform our raw materials so that they are beneficial for our populations and in terms of exportation. I wish you a very good day of reflection on the chosen theme and also on the essential role of youth in this fight. Good luck to all. May God make sure that all those who have made the trip return home in good health and that we can meet again when we wish it by the grace of God. La patrie ou la mort. Thank you.
I hope you have watched and listened to that speech from Ibrahim Traore, and also you have watched that video from one of our African leaders. She's known as Dr. Arikana. I want to start commenting about what Dr. Arikana, she has come out and tell us. Dr. Arikana, she has come out and send a warning message to all corrupt, puppet, African and Caribbean leaders, simply because I keep on telling you that revolution, it has started here in Africa. And right now, black people, they are calling their leaders to stop being puppet, to stop being corrupt, to start to work according to the will of the people. Dr. Arikana, she has come out and said the only problem that we black people we have, it is unity. We black people, we don't want to support each other. We black people, we are the one who wants to bring our own people down. You can imagine when somebody, he or she has opened a store, a black store, the black people will not go and support their fellow black store. Black people will go and support the Indian, the Chinese and the white store. So this is tell you that we black people, we need to change our ways. We need to start supporting each other. I want to see unity amongst black people. I want to see the black Americans uniting with the Afro-Caribbean and also African people to unite with all black people in the continent, for those black people who are not in Africa, because I believe Africa, it is the motherland of black people. And we black people, we are everywhere. Right now, black people, we are everywhere. You will not go in any of this world and not find a black person. So black people, we are everywhere. And this is to tell you that right now, black people, we are the majority. So right now, black people, we need to come together so that these other races, they can respect us. You have heard what Dr. Arikana, she has come out and say. She has come out and say in United States, the black people, they are not speaking with one language, but the Indians, they are speaking with one language. These people, they are supporting each other. The Chinese in America, they are speaking with one voice. They are supporting each other. But when it comes to the black people, they are not organized. So this is to tell you that black people, we need to come together. We need to support our own races. Before going out there supporting other races, we need to support our own race. And also, guys, you have heard from Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore is that one of our African leaders. Imagine, he is the youngest African leader and he is the president of Burkina Faso. So Ibrahim Traore, he has come out and sent a powerful and a warning message to the Western country. You know, for a very long time, we as black people, the Western countries, they have been destabilizing our country. The Western countries, they have made our countries to be a third world country. And they are calling our African country a third world country. And they are the people who are making Africa to be a third world country. These people, they are the ones who are taking our minerals. They are the ones who are taking our resources. They are opening schools with our resources from here in Africa. They are opening more hospitals. They are funding their healthcare system with our resources and minerals from here in Africa. And yet they are calling our country a third world country. So it is now the right time for us, black people, Africans people, to cut ties with Western country. These people, they have destabilized our countries. These people, they have done so much things. They are turning our leaders to be a puppet. They are taking our resources. They are putting our resources in their country. You can imagine. And yet they are calling us poor people. So for me, I really love what Ibrahim Traore is doing, because Ibrahim Traore is that one of the African leader who has proven and who has shown other leaders that we can still do it without depending to this Western country, simply because our African leaders, they fear Western countries. Yeah, they really fear not only African leaders, also the Caribbean leaders, the black people in general. We fear this Western country. Why do we fear this Western country? Because we are seeing them as these people, they are powerful. These people, they have equipment, so it is easy for them to fight with us and conquer us. But we as African, when we sit down and plan and developed and build our country will be more powerful than this other and than the Western country. So Ibrahim Traore is telling us, is showing us the way that we as African, we can still do it without depending to this Western country. You can see Ibrahim Traore has managed to achieve some of the things that so many African leaders who have stayed in power, they have not yet achieved. But in a short period, Ibrahim Traore has achieved a lot of things. He has managed to kick out and change the colonizer system in his country. He has shown us that we can develop our country with our own resources. We can still create more jobs with our own resources, with our own minerals that we have in Africa, because the Western countries, they depend so much in Africa. Yeah, these people, they cannot do without Africa. These people, they cannot do without black people, and they are finding it easy to brainwash us black people by telling us that black color, it is not the color to love. Yeah, that's why up today you will see black people, they are not supporting each other. Black people, they are not embrace their own themselves because of the color. So these people, they are the ones who are brainwashers, telling us everything which it is black, it is bad. Everything which it is white, it is good. So we need to get rid of that mentality as a black people. We need to come together. We need to unite so that we can be able to remove these Western people in our country. So it is now the right time for us to develop our country. And because of that, I keep on sharing this good message with all people, the Black Americans, the Black people in the Caribbean and African people who they are in the continent and who they are not in the continent. So what I can tell you that revolution, it has started amongst Black people. We Black people, we are now getting rid of the Western people. And right now I can tell you that Western people, they are really fear Black people. Why am I telling you they are fearing right now Black people? Simply because they are seeing the population of the Black people, it is growing each and every day. Yeah. Black people population, it is growing each and every day, but their population, it is decreasing. Yeah, the white, the Indian, the Chinese population, it is decreasing each and every day. So they fear Black people coming and be on top of them. So you have seen they have started to make some of the changes in their country, whereby in United States you have seen they are deporting illegal immigrants, but in real sense, these people, they are targeting to deport Black people. They have made life in America to be very difficult and expensive so that they can scare Black people not to go in America, because we all know Black people, we are seeing America as a dream country, as a land of opportunity. But right now, these people, they have changed the system in America. They have made life more difficult. So to a point whereby they are doing that so that they can get rid of the Black people in their country. So they are deporting also the illegal immigrant, but they are not targeting illegal immigrant. They want to deport Black people in their own country, simply because they fear one day these people, they will come and take over their country. So this tell you that we Black people, we need to wake up, we need to unite, and we need to have a mentality that one day us Black people will be respected in the continent. And these people who they have done so much things to us during slavery, until now they are showing us racist in their country, things will be changed. So kindly guys, subscribe if you haven't, like this video, share, and also comment. See you on my next one. Bye bye.